who?
All right. So first off, I just want to say, I met Carey, what was it, a year ago? I think a little over a year ago. And just was blown away right off by just her like go-getter kind of personality. And she was that person like right off who said, I'm like frustrated by the online market. And I think, many of us feel this way, or we feel like I'm doing everything, but she just kept pushing through. And I think that's something that a lot of you guys, I needed to hear that when I felt that way, but nobody was saying that. And I think it's something that we all feel. And sometimes we don't hear that from people. We see the successful launches. We see, all the wins, but we don't often hear what does it take to get there. And so, I am fortunate, to often see the start to the finish, or to watch the process, or to witness my own process. And one of the reasons that I asked Carey here was that I got to see the start, and also I've watched like the end part. Let me just close my mail so we don't hear ding to ding. Got to actually, see the whole entire process. And what I was so blown away by was the fact that Carey just continued to dive deep into what did her people want, because we don't always know that. So I always say, it's not you as the coach. You've been living this, whatever your journey was, and we have multiple often, but it's how do you communicate that awesome journey to that person who's either watching you or potentially going to be following you or has friends. How do you communicate that so that person says, wow, really identify with this person, or, this is what I'm struggling with, and they have this answer. And so Carey took what her main focus and her love and her passion was, and figured out how to put that into what she desired for her life, and which was to have an online business and to be able to work from anywhere in the world, to be able to run, to be able to show, women that they could have this amazing, health and change their mindset and all of that stuff. And so she created a membership with her own two hands. So I want Carey to kind of, one, to share that process and to share what you did, and to also share like your journey doing that with, everyone today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Carey Adams, who, like I said, I've just been blown away watching like start to finish.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I love talking about this stuff and sharing my journey because it's crazy. I feel like it's crazy. I had this crazy vision after I had babies that I couldn't go back to work. I just couldn't be away from my kids. And I'm a physiotherapist by trade. So I've come from a very traditional upbringing, a very traditional education. You go to work 9 to 5. But I was also like, it was a very giving career. I would go to work all day and be taking care of people all day. And I worked in hospitals, so very sick people all day, dealing with families. And I'm like, I can't come home. I've got nothing left to serve my family with. So somehow, long story, I figured out like I can start an online business. I like running. I had this free run group that I just did anyways. And so someone was like, you should do that for a business. And I thought, no. And then at some point it was like, yeah, I can do this for a business. So I started learning everything I needed to do to turn this random Facebook group into an online, and it's morphed. Like it didn't used to be a membership site. It used to be, I sold a 3-month training program because it's a run coaching program. So I'm a physio and I teach people how to do exercise properly, good form, good alignment, strength training, all of the stuff you need to run strong. And so I would sell these 3-month packages because runners train for 3 months. So they'd join for 3 months, they'd be in the group, and then it would be over. And then I'd start all again. And what I found over the time was that people didn't want to stop. They're like, well, I really like the group. And it became more about the health of these runners than the actual race prep. Mm-hmm. And so it morphed into a membership. I said, well, what if I just charge you guys by the month and you stay as long as you want? Because every week I'm throwing in different challenges. I bring in experts to talk about the topics I don't know about that I'm interested in. So I've learned as I've gone through as well. And then I got up to a point where I was stuck. Like I couldn't get any more signups. I'm like, I don't know what I'm missing. What am I missing? What am I missing? And listening to my people, for sure, it wasn't that they wanted to learn to run. It was really digging into my niche and who they were and what they wanted. And it wasn't that they wanted to learn to run. They didn't want the strength workouts. They could get the free downloads anywhere they wanted. It was about, I went the mindset route. I bought your mindset package. I did a lot of mindset work, but that's not what they were signing up for. They were signing up because they weren't losing weight. They were running because they wanted to lose weight. They were running. I talk a lot about hormones now, and they're like, oh my God, I've never heard of this stuff. Like, what's going on? So now I get them in. I talk a lot about that stuff, and I get them in that way. But that's come from like listening to people, listening to my members and seeing what they wanted to help me grow. And it's also been about being really consistently taking action all the time and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work and changing, scrapping things and starting again and having massive failures, but always showing up for my people. That's why they stay. Like I've had runners with me for 3 years that are going nowhere because they love the community and the content that I'm bringing to them.
When we first met, I have a quick question so you can kind of take it through, because what I see is we're not lacking courses as coaches. And I remember when I first started, we're not lacking courses. What I see as the progression of the coach, well, and let's just even say wellness entrepreneur, because I think this is across the board. Wellness entrepreneur graduates from wherever they go. They usually go on to the next certification. They feel at some point there's a business aspect missing. They know the name Marie Forleo, and she's amazing. So they go, that's first stop. Then they feel that there's another, they heard list building, avatar, funnels. So then there's a specific business course that they go to, whether it's for funnels or Facebook ads or some component, or they've up leveled and they hired, or they've gone to a mastermind where we're either at like the 2 to 15,000 range, and they've stayed there. And then there's usually another level. So I've seen that there's like this constant circle, but there's still, for some, and I wouldn't say that this is across the board for everyone, there's still a level of confusion. Some people come halfway into that circle, they're like total clarity. Some people go fully 365 and they're like, I'm still confused. So I think what I really saw from you, which always made me say, wow, I really love this, is when I met you and you bought the Mindset Makeover. I remember you didn't have stuff in ClickFunnels. So what I'm hearing is you did have your group. They were actively buying. You did have this established that this was your core niche. So it's not that there was a confusion. You knew what they wanted, but you were redeveloping it at that point, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I still was confused about what they wanted. Like, it's tough. I think that's been the biggest confusion for me is, what do my people actually want? How do I talk to them? How do I let them know that I have their solution? Because my course...
to kind of that time, because I think that's the part that I think everyone really struggles with. It's like, what did you do to get really clear? And again, I'm sure everyone is going to take a different path, but I would guarantee that there's probably 5 things that you did that people are going to be like, oh my goodness, like that's so simple, and yet like so just eye-opening.
I think one thing I did was I didn't sign up for 1 million courses, because I knew it wasn't more courses, it wasn't more technology, it wasn't more funnels that I needed. It was like more work with my people, listening, to what their struggles actually were. Because my niche is running moms, like women who run. And then like, that's a big niche in and of itself. And I needed to get clear on what part of that niche I was talking to, because I could talk to the beginner mom, like the new brand new mom. I could talk to who's never run, the brand new mom who used to be a runner and craves it again, or like the mom who's back to work. Like there's like a lot in there. So it was really getting clear with myself on who I wanted to work with, and not just taking more courses, not overcomplicating, because I was overcomplicating it. I had a million opt-ins and all this stuff. I was like, no, I need to like just run one and really simplify. That really helped me. I knew that it wasn't my course that was the problem. I loved yours and I buy random things, but I wasn't fussing about creating all of my own courses, because as a physio, I know that the answer to anything, to any problem, is move your body, eat real food, think positively. Like, you know, those are the same, but it's like, how do I message that in a way for my people that really makes them understand that I know where they're at and I have the solution. This is the solution. So that was really helpful. Keeping things really simple. And I think it was always just trying. Like, I'm not scared to try things and fail. And I'm not scared to put myself out there. Like, you actually gave me a lot of clarity, because you're just like, forget all the launches and the confusing stuff and the funnels, and like, just show up. Be authentic, be yourself. I think for a lot of years I wasn't myself because I'm supposed, and I have colleagues that will text me and they're like, I don't think what you're doing is appropriate. I'm like, well, you're not my market. Like, I'm not really doing what I used to do. This is totally different, because I need to talk to my people. Mm-hmm. So letting go of those expectations of what I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to behave, and just letting myself come out. And I think being myself. Like, there's a million run programs you can buy. There's a million run gurus. There's a million free programs. So why would people sign up with me? And it's because I'm me all the time. Whatever I post is like, you know, people are like, you got to schedule it in and put it in. I'm like, no, I just kind of like, for now, I just kind of roll with things. And if something goes really well, I'll go back and I'll repost it later. But keeping things really simple. Yeah, those are some of the big things. Like, I'm just a hustler. Like, I just try things until they work. And then if they work, I do them again and again and again, and then just build that up. The hardest thing is getting those leads, for sure. But I think that that's growing and has been growing because I'm getting clearer and keeping things simpler. And I think that the thing is, like, you might feel like you're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And that's okay. You have to be saying the same thing over and over again, because that's what your message is. My message is women are running too much and under eating. And so they're not getting faster. They're not losing weight. They're messing up their thyroid. They're messing up their hormones. I just have to keep saying that. And for a long time, I was like, well, now I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about this. But it was just like, no, I'm going to just keep saying the same thing, and then letting them know that I have the solution. My program is the solution. My program is a solution.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I did struggle with just one opt-in. I applaud people who can do that, because it just, I couldn't message the same thing over and I had the same message, but mm-hmm. I found for me to build a list organically with no Facebook ads, with nothing, close to 9,000, which will probably, I mean, that was my client list, which mm-hmm. will probably go away, which mm-hmm. you are coming.
Yeah, totally.
Delete. That didn't work, but that's why I always love interviewing people that mm-hmm. have different approaches, because
I have lots of opt-ins. I've tried all kinds of opt-ins, but I think what that taught me was what my people actually wanted.
Yeah. Well,
because it keeps coming down to
that's what I always say. It's like, you have to look at your opt-ins as a way to get clear on your message. It's like, totally. it's like being in a candy store. You're like, okay, you don't know what you like until you try it. And the same thing is, I would say, you don't put 80 opt-ins on your site. Your opt-ins are like little tests. It doesn't mean that you pay for nurture sequences on everything. That's what I love about what you said about funnels. And I said this to somebody yesterday. I was like, look at, I call them stacks. Look at the funnel as, just like you said, like they wanted weight loss. Look at that as, okay, so this is the person who's opting in because they want weight loss. How am I talking to them then from that opt-in? But don't confuse yourself thinking all these 80 things, because then you won't ever do it.
Right. And,
you know, think of what are my signature PowerPoints that define me and define, you know, and that's why I love when you said, you know, what do you talk about that really feels right? Because you should model what feels right for you, but also, as you said, you know, what your people really desire and what also they're asking for, even though you know that the 4 components of what they need are X, Y, you know, or, you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So reverse engineer a little on what was that moment that you were like, oh my goodness. It was like the moment that I was like, okay, why are they coming? Why do people keep asking me about weight loss? You know, at that time I had an overactive thyroid, and if anything, I was underweight. Why is anyone asking me about weight loss when there's not this word anywhere? And yet I had this moment of saying, well, this is maybe what people are kind of interested in. What happened that you realized, you know, that the people that were in your field wanted that from you?
Well, the runners that have been with me, they run and they get strong and they set new paces and they set new distances, and then they still will email me, but I'm still haven't really lost the weight. I'm like, oh, you haven't? And they're like, no. And it's because we weren't, I wasn't pushing them that way. It was like, really, like, let's just get you running. Let's get you doing. So they were running and they were getting stronger and they were doing all this stuff, but at their core, they really wanted weight. And I'm very much about running as a celebration of your body, and exercise is not a punishment, and it's all about mindfulness and moving meditation. But when I go deep and think about why did I start, it was to lose weight. And at the core of women, I can ignore this and I could pretend that it's not an issue, but it is. And I see these runners, they are working hard. They're running lots of miles, and they're like celebrating running a marathon it takes them 8 hours, and they're broken down and in physio for 6 months after. And I'm like, that's really great. And I think that that's amazing, but how do you feel? And they're like, I feel broken down and overweight. And then I asked them and they're telling me this, but they don't want to speak about it either because they're runners. So I've got this real tough disconnect because these women have a lot of strong mental capacity.
Yeah.
But then they're telling me, well, I feel broken down and exhausted and tired. And like, I want to lose weight, but I don't get it. I don't get why I'm not losing weight. And I'm like, oh my God, because you're running too much and you're not eating enough. So there was, yeah, like you're a hormonal mess and you don't know how to eat, because those are traits of my niche that I know. And I'll watch a race and I just go, oh my God, because I want people to be healthy. That's not healthy, right? Like I come from joint replacements, like it's the obesity, it's the unhealthiness. And so I've had to really transfer my brain to how do I talk about weight loss in a way that feels good, that's not icky to me. And that's been very difficult. That's actually what's held me back for so long, is I'm like, how do I know this is what they want. How do I talk about it? Because that's what they sign up for. They don't sign up to learn to run. They can run. There's programs everywhere, right? So
it's an interesting topic, because I talk about this often, is that especially in this world today where we're in a very noisy world, we're in a buyer beware, which always happens after an election, no matter what it is. It's Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter, because everyone kind of gets, and so, you know, people kind of get into, oh my goodness, who can I trust? What can I say? And so, you know, we always are like, we have to think about always the psychology of the buyer. And I always talk about Sally. Sally is an A-type personality. She is a person, she doesn't really want to do one-on-one coaching. She's a marathon runner. She sometimes runs alone, and she rarely will tell you that she's broken. She's upset. She doesn't want to ask for help. She wants you to be like, yo, Sally, you okay? And she'll always be like, I'm fine. She wants you to be like, Sally, you okay? And like rub her shoulder. And she's like, oh, I'm good. But she's really not. And she'll only tell you that she wasn't after she has broken down and figured it out on her own. And she's like great in a group. And so I always say that she's the kind of personality where, you know, you have to kind of say to her, you know, look, I know it's hard. You have the weight of the world on your shoulder, and you're like a tough lady. I get it, you know, and I think the beauty, and I talked about this last night in the webinar we did, is that when you also take your business and do it intuitively, which you did, and what I say to every coach, I always say, how are you different? What you said to everyone is, look, I teach running different. I teach weight loss different. I'm going to talk to you about your hormones. I'm going to talk to you about your cortisol levels, because you're working out at this level. And so you may not have the weight loss. Let's figure this out. And I'm going to give you the strategies to do this. And that is what then sets you apart. And then feeds into your membership, which makes people want to stay, which is really the retention that you were looking for. So that allows you, do you find that because when you added in the classes, do you find that you have people that end up wanting to stay?
When I added the what?
When you added your master classes, do you find that you have people, or did people always want to stay once you
always wanted to stay? They always wanted to, because it's always changing. Like I do a lot of challenges in the group. I do a lot of mindset stuff, which I bought your program. I love the blogs. I do all this stuff, and I do gratitude challenges and journaling challenges and morning ritual challenges. And I think that they like that, because a lot of runners and fitness, I say I'm bringing the woo to the fitness world, because the fitness world is about pushing. They like ignore their emotions, and I really talk to them as moms who are really busy. They have a lot of important roles, and they have to bring their best. And to do that, we need to dig into this stuff, and they really like it. So there's a lot of bonds that have been created, and they stay for the community. But one thing that for me was, they don't join for the community. They join for the solution to their problem. And that took me a long time to figure out too. I'm like, oh, but our community is amazing. You're going to love it. It's like, no, I don't care. I want to feel better. I want to either lose weight, or I want to ditch like I want my energy back. I want my old body. I want my old life back. That's what they want. So I used to give away so much. I'd give them the workouts. I'd give them all this stuff. And now it's like, I'll say, these are the workouts you need to be doing to balance your hormones, get your body into fat burning mode. Like, you need to do core, you need to do strength, you need to do speed. I give the runners in the academy these workouts each and every week. They are working on turning their bodies into fat burning machines who are also hormonally balanced. But I don't give them anymore. Like, I used to give all that away, and I give them the solution, but somewhere this recently only happened. It's like, oh, I need to pick at those problems in a really nice way. Like you said, that is like, I get it. Like, I get how you're feeling. Like, cause that used to be me. I get that. And I've created the solution, and this is how you join us. Right. And then they fall in love with the community, and then they love it, you know?
Yeah, it's really shocking, because I think one of the biggest issues because I always sit there. I mean, I really do. And it's not even, you know, I think it can be hard from a perspective that's not in my brain to be like, oh, maybe she just sits here like trying to sell us stuff. But I really sit in my office thinking, I piece back all like the steps I took. Like, what did I do? How did I go from 13 to the 27? How did I go from the 22nd to triple that? And I write down, and my husband always says, he's like, you were relentless. Like, can you teach somebody that? I'm like, If literally, if I got them in a room for a week, like, can I teach? He's like, you sure? And I'm like, now he's like, but you also were relentless in understanding your pain. He's like, he's like, Rachel, I've seen you. He calls me Rachel. He doesn't call me Rach. He's like, Rachel, I've seen you come home from teaching at Hippocrates, and you talk about like crying, crying, remembering, like building your business. When I've taught and I teach and I talk about like every time, and he see me come home from like a geneticist, and I'll be like, it's going to be totally great. And, back when I was really, really struggling, and we were even talking about this last night, he's like, it was so hard all the years to watch you, when you were going through like the detox or the Lyme or like all the things, and it wasn't fully better. And I looked sick. I mean, sick and still building my business. And I would come home and be like, this is it. This person said, and I would 27 tubes of, blood. And I'd be like, they're going to figure it out. And then tears and tears because there wasn't an answer. And he would say, okay, well, you're just going to figure it out, or you're going to put the pieces together of all these great people, just like, and that's what really prompted me to be a coach, is that it didn't mean that I stopped going and see all these great people, but that I was so clear on the pain that I felt. And so what I feel is a major disconnect is we hook onto these marketing strategies, which is important. We do need to, but I go back to what I did in the beginning. I blogged once a week. I did a newsletter every 2 weeks, or I took the newsletter and I made it into a blog, or the blog into a newsletter. I did a video once a week. I thought about what I wanted to communicate on Facebook. Instagram wasn't around, or I didn't know it was around. And I would think about what I needed people to know about me. It wasn't, and I talked about this last night, it wasn't at the time Chris Carr was really rising, and David Wolf was really rising, and Raw for Beauty. These were what everyone shared, and Mind Body Green was really rising, and everyone was just sharing. And I was like, I need people to know me, like my story, what was my struggle. So I was talking about bringing up my kids, and bringing up kids who did massive early intervention, because I birthed kids with high levels of uranium and biofilm and junk, and they were toxic babies. And that's what led me on my journey. And so I constantly shared about that. I constantly shared about the struggle on my business. And still to this day, that is what built the authority. It wasn't Facebook ads. It wasn't, and the summits and anything else I got asked to, I never asked anyone. And I still don't. I mean, I don't go and say, oh, you give a shout out to me, or will you do this? Maybe I'm not that person, but things have come because I just showed up and shared what worked for me and what didn't. And I still do to this day. If something stops working, it does.
Yeah, I find the same thing. I don't have a very big list, but I show up. For me, I do a lot of live challenges. Sorry, I'm just going to move. It's really loud in there. Oh, they're leaving. I do a lot of live challenges because I get to really interact with the people that come to me. And people who join my live challenges are the ones who sign up for my programs, and they're the ones who are the most engaged and stay the longest because they get to know me. And I don't do shout outs, and I don't have a community, a network of people that are sending people of affiliates and all that. I'm just me and my two hands.
So do you do your live challenges for anyone listening? Because I think this is really helpful for those. Oh, you're frozen.
That's it. Frozen?
Do you do the live challenges? Because I think this would be really helpful for anyone listening, because especially in this time where everyone feels like they have to do Facebook ads, and similar to, I think probably 90% of coaches, like people, don't have the extra money to be spending. Most people are working a 9 to 5 and they're scraping to, that's the reality of the coaches I know, not the ones living although you live in a pretty fabulous place in the world, they're not living a laptop lifestyle with, you know, do you run your challenges? Like how do you set up your challenges so people find you?
When I first started, and I actually still do this, but when I first started, I just post on my page. I post in my group. For a long time, I never emailed. I was like too tech. I just tech frozen. I didn't even do emails. I literally posted on my Facebook page. I posted in the private group I had, and then I just posted in the group every day. The good thing about that was that the people who participated were really engaged because they literally had to check in every day to find out what was going on.
So serious about really being with you.
Right. They were serious about being with me, and they tuned in and they listened and then they signed up. So that's honestly all I did. I didn't have blogs. I didn't even have a blog on my website until last year. I just put out Facebook posts and said, this is what I'm doing if you want to join. I didn't even collect emails for years. I just said, go to my Facebook page. And in a lot of ways, it's easier to get people that way because they're hesitant to give their emails. So they just want to go in and they just want to do it. So I would do that, and then I'd get them in. And for a long time, I put people in for free. I just did the groups for free. I would have 4 signups, and then I'd like email all of these people. I'm like, do you want to do the program? Do you want to do the program? Do you want to do the program? And I'd put them in because I needed people in there. I was never going to cancel that program because only 3 people signed up. I just needed to go. I needed to build that momentum. So that was never an issue for me. That's how I did it now.
But see, even just you saying that, I think that's so important for people to hear.
I think it is.
That's the stuff. My second coach was Nisha Moodley. We used to talk about that all the time. That's the stuff nobody hears. My first fellow class had 2 people. I did it. And then I cried thinking, I'm never going to make it. Like, because I looked up to Elizabeth Ryder, and I would go on and see all these people and think, never going to do it. I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make it. And nobody hears the fumble of the papers or the mess up. We only focus on seeing like somebody be at the top, you know, we don't see the journey. And it's interesting because the person who I interviewed yesterday said the same thing. She's like, I launched, I posted 3 times. And I think the more that we let go of anxiety and have fun with it, I don't feel like it's this heavy burden. And think about, you know, my first coach, and this was at a time I had no money. I saved everything because I was so scared to show up. I was petrified. I'm by constitution a fear-based. What are people going to think of me? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so I hired her because I saw she had something I so needed. And everything, we talked for 5.5 months about mindset and soul and letting go. 2 weeks, we talked about business.
And that's what so much of business is. It is your mindset. And I have been blessed with a strong mindset. I compare myself to my runners a lot in building my business, to them running really strong, building distance, like gaining weight. They just want to be there. I want to be there. But as soon as I start thinking about the money and the life I want, and I wish I was here, I'm like, oh my God, I'm here. And I'm very grateful for every single person that comes into my world. And when I keep my like that is authentically where I keep my focus and I keep my head. As soon as I let my head get away from me, it crumbles. It's like, oh my God, I've got to make all this money. This is it. Like, if I'm not doing this, no, like I've got to bring it back to the people and keep my focus there. And that really helps me stay focused and grounded and serve my people. When I serve my people in a way that feels authentic and good to me, it always does well. I always grow and I always get new people. I did the Facebook ad thing. I spent a lot of money and I got leads, but they didn't do anything. They were cold and who knows who they were. Nothing happened. I cleaned my list and took off like 2,000 people because I was supposed to pay the next tier in Active Campaign. And I'm like, I'm not paying more money. No one's opening my emails. So I got rid of them all. And I often say, like, I loved your emails about the GDPR thing. Is like, the good thing about this is you're going to only have people who want to be with you. So you don't need a big list. You just need to show up for those people you have.
Yeah. I remember reading something years ago. It was, I'll never forget it, because Gary V, who I love, he always says, I'm the one, I don't mind getting dirty. I want to know you. So I love when he's like on a plane and he's like, hey, George, love you, George. I've known you for years, because he does know the people in his world. And I remember him, he was literally on a plane and, looking crazy and had been up forever. And he said, guys, I just want to remind you, for all you new marketers or people who are obsessed on a list, you could have 50,000 people, 10,000. You could have people who never buy from you. You could have 150 people who consistently buy from you everything. They will buy any program, anything you do, and you would have a thriving business. You have one person who is a millionaire and decides to invest with you. He's like, you never know. So don't look at the number, look at the connection. And, I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing, and the coaches that I see have sustainable businesses, not one-hit wonders, which my goal has always been sustainable. I want to, be here for a while, is to have connections with people and to also like know them and see them. And, that's why I was like really excited, so I can't believe it's taken us this long to actually connect.
I know.
This way. But, to also be able to say, wow, I remember when I did, watch you and kind of go through your life and stuff like that. But to be able to see the progression, and also to remind coaches what I wish I would have heard, and what I so often do need to remind myself, which is to keep it simple. Because the moment that I don't, and it's very easy, because we did move into an era where we got out of simplicity and things got to be really, and I do think part of that is why GDPR is happening, because things just got a little crazy. And I believe that craziness also makes people feel overwhelmed. And so it's a time to really tap into asking people like we used to, hey, what do you guys want? This is what happened in my life. This is how crazy I felt. And, I would really love to deliver it. Hey, feel free to personal message me, or, hey, and really just share from your heart.
And that's something I wanted to touch on too, is that I think we get so lost in the tech conversations and the funnel conversations and the click funnels and all of the tech stuff that we forget to just add those personal touches and just reach out to our people and message them, and that those connections matter more than all of the tech stuff. Like, I think we think that we're just going to put it out there, everyone's going to sign up, and it's going to happen. It doesn't. We have to nurture people, and we can't be scared to get out there and connect. Like you said, it's all about service. Even though we've taken these businesses are service businesses. Like, we're coaching people on their health. Like, we have to be connected to them. And we think, I know that a lot of people in the business circles I'm in think that they're going to put something up and they're going to get all these people to sign up. I was like, it doesn't work that way. You can't think and expect that, because you're going to get disappointed. You have to, we don't want to hustle all day and hustle. I hate that word hustle, but we just.
As my picture is there. But I think that word, that's different. I heard somebody say this the other day. I think it was either my friend Stephanie or my friend Nikki, and she said, that word's different for everyone. For me, it means like tapping in, like I have one, it says stay humble, hustle hard. For me, it means tapping into what you love and doing what you desire. Yeah,
and I love, I'm a hustler. I work my butt off. Like I do. I wish I didn't.
You don't want to be what I feel when you're hustling, and I've been in that place too, where you're shooting darts and you're spinning your wheels, and there's depression. And it's something entrepreneurs don't talk about. We don't talk about enough. You feel depressed and you feel defeated, and you're like, okay, and I've done that, been Speedy Gonzalez, like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing this. That's tiring and that's exhausting. And that's a different place. Yep. I've done that too. At a different time in my life. And then I was like, all right, where, and then you have to really ask the question, where do I really want to be? And that usually comes back to, who am I serving? What do I really want to do? And what do I really want to be defined as? And what is really the message? And, you know, I think when that clarity, and that's what I always say about your funnel, isn't that you're like, funnels are not meant to confuse. They're meant to actually bring clarity. What are the 4 polarizing topics that you need somebody to know about you, that define you? Is it mindset? Is it running? Is it mom? So is it family? You know, what are the core foundation, the pillars that somebody, if they come to your page, they're like, oh, that's what it's really your brand. So your funnel is your brand. It's what are your words? What are the things? What do you talk about offline? What do you talk about when nobody's looking? That's really what you're about. What do you think about when you're in the shower, when you're by yourself, when you're running? You know,
and it's so much easier to build your business and be online when you're in line with those things. Because if you're trying to be something else online than who you really are, it's going to be really hard.
And that's why, you know, people think I started online. I didn't. I used videos. I used YouTube because I had a fear of speaking. So I started using YouTube. I didn't know that that would lead me to clients worldwide. And I started talking about just what were the health issues in my life. So I could get used to speaking. But I actually would walk in, Sammy on one hip, or Sammy in a stroller, Max on the back, and I would go into health food stores, I would go into juice places, I would go into different, you know, fitness stores, gyms, and I would say, hey, my name is Rachel Feldman, with my really crappy Vistaprint card that had green, blue, or it wasn't even a pretty green. And I would say, you know, I'm a health coach and I can do these signature talks. Would you be interested? Or I can do a shopping tour here. And the cool thing is everyone would buy food from you. And I would just keep it simple and hand and throw my business cards and brochures and all that. And I would go to Del Rey and Boca, which are here locally. And I just met people and talked and talked. And I did that more locally. And people started to call, hey, do you do this? Hey, do you do this? And I got used to talking to people offline, my kids' school, that stuff. And then I got clear also. But I also used Facebook, you know, just in the beginning, and my high school friends and the kids I grew up with on swim team and stuff became my clients. And I didn't even know I knew what I was doing, but I wouldn't say I was super clear on who I was serving because it was in the beginning of coaching.
And there is that transition. I think people need to appreciate that. It takes time. I didn't know. I thought this was who I wanted to do. I thought this is what I wanted to do. But that there was a massive evolution because I listened too, right? Because we took on people, we put people in those groups, we coached those groups and those people, and there's a massive evolution. So you don't just come out clear and knowing. Like I've had some massive clarity even in just the last couple of months. That's really been amazing. But I often laugh. I'm like, I'm sorry this is taking me so long, to my husband. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm the slowest person to get any of this. But I couldn't have skipped any of it either. You know, like I couldn't have skipped a day of it.
You learn, and then it's the implementation. Just like you go to college and then you're like, Woo, okay, I wouldn't have learned, that's not the implementation at all. Life after is the implementation. You don't learn how to communicate with people. You don't learn how to figure out scenarios. You only learn that, later when you're with a person. And, I was saying this yesterday, nobody fits into a box. I mean, it's part of the reason that there are so many, health issues is nobody fits into that little book. It's we're all so different, and we are different race, different gender, we're different minds, constitutionally, everything. We live in different parts of the world. We were exposed to different germs, everything. And so I got to the point where I was like, and I would say probably about 5 years into my coaching where I was like, I don't know anything. Like it was a big aha moment to be like, nope, I know fruitarians. I know vegan, raw, Sally Fallon, Western Pride. Nope, don't know anything. Don't know what's right for you either. Don't know anything. And that wasn't just because I live in a red, now orange state. I really got to a point where, and that was also at realizing how much my body was shifting hormonally, age, everything. I was like, my body changes all the time. Where do I have any right to be dogmatic and put that on anyone? It's my job. And my one teacher, Dr. Morse, who probably was the most spiritually teacher for me. He used to say, it's only egotistic to tell somebody what to do. A coach is just a way shower. It's just opening the eyes for that person, for their soul to open, because they know the way. And I remember saying in class, and just pouring tears, because I thought, oh, so I'm just trying to control if I don't want to see the way. And so that's what I realized coaching was about. It's not that I wouldn't sit there if somebody came to me and said, what worked for you? That's different. But to sit there and be like, you need to eat this.
Totally.
That's
not how I coach.
Yeah. So and it's not that I ever did that per se, but I would say that I went through times of confusion,
What's your evolution, right? That's where you come. And you work through your own personal stuff. Like we go through our own personal stuff as we're like building or coaching our programs, right? Crazy.
So I just and we went off on a little tangent, but I will tell you, to me, this is what it is about. And I think this is why it can get really confusing being a coach, because we think this is a business, but it's not. It's, as you said, you go through your own transformation, you go through your own life, and your life is also a mirror to your business. There was a quote that I used to put up all the time. It says, I'm a holistic entrepreneur. It means my life, my spirituality, and my business, there's no separation. So I just want to thank you for taking time today, and also to share your process, and that there's not just this like start finish, and to share like your aha moments and what has worked for you, and your journey, and to also be just so authentic as you've always been, which is why I've adored you, and now I really know why I adore you.
So fun. I love following your stuff too. I just love it. I feel like we really connected online, which is the point, right? Like you meet these people online and you're like, I think we're best friends. I think we are.
I feel that with some people. And then I've actually had the blessing to meet some people face to face and be like, oh, no, you are my sister. Okay, I know why. I know why.
And then you're like, I know I'm doing it right, or I know she's doing it right, because this is how I feel. This is what she's supposed to be doing. And I like that, and I respect that. Awesome.
So guys, I will be posting where you can find Carey, but if you have any questions about the program, you can find it at yourhealthcoachbiz.com. And also, if you have any questions about, Carey, or even joining her membership, you can also find her on Facebook, Carey Adams. But you can also on the replay page find out about her. And thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Carey. Really appreciate it. And thank you for all your amazing wisdom.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love sharing. Bye.
Bye, guys.